Okay. So, what about this next grammar form? This will be it's just one page, so it should be fairly short. But this grammar form is actually the most used in the entirety of writing conversational Korean. So if you see this number up here, thank you for the roses. 797 times. This is very high. So what does this number mean? Well, question, how much does this book cost? This book is about $35 US. But back to this, what is this number? So when we were making our intermediate series, Writing Conversational Korean, we asked native Korean speakers to answer conversational questions in their own words. So questions like, what is a food you will never eat? And, do you think you would survive the zombie apocalypse? All those sorts of questions. And we asked them to write their own answer in their own words. And over the course of 3 books, we collected about 35,000 words in Korean, which is a fair amount. And we used some search tools to calculate how many times different grammar forms were used by native speakers. And this 의 is the number one used grammar form. It is a very simple, small, short grammar form, but it was used a lot. 797 times. In comparison, just a quick comparison, this corner grammar form was used 86 times. So, a little bit of a difference. So this one is a good one to know, and it's a very easy one to know as well. It's an easy one to learn, and it'll help you understand a lot of what is going on. So what is 의? Well, it is the possessive particle. It is kind of a particle in Korean, and it's used to show possession. For example, 사라의 샌드위치예요. 샌드위치예요. Sandwichi is sandwich, and this 의 means it belongs to Sarah. It shows that the possession belongs to Sarah. So it's Sarah's sandwich. I don't understand when 의 is pronounced yes. So I do have a thing here about pronunciation that I'm going to get to as well. This book is called Conversational Korean Grammar. So this 의 is often like how we use apostrophe s in English. It's kind of similar to 의 in Korean. Is 의 omitted most of the time? It is omitted sometimes. You can omit 의, and if context is clear, you don't necessarily need to use it. But even then, it is still used quite a lot. All right. So 의 is a particle. 감사합니다. 의, how is this different from to? To is plural. So, 사라, to would mean multiple Sarahs. So you have multiple people called Sarah in a group. That would be 사라들. 사라의 is Sarah's. Is that right in English? I'm not entirely sure. But this one means multiple Sarahs. This one means Sarah's thing. Sarah's pencil. Sarah's pizza. Sarah's sandwich. Yeah. Okay. So it's used to show possession, similar to how we use apostrophe s, e.g. Sarah's food, or the noun of something. For example, the representative of our team. So in English, we could sometimes use of, but in Korean, they use this 의 for both. And also a note, you've probably seen this 의 used many, many times in this verb, 제. 제 means my, but this is actually an abbreviation. It's an abbreviation of this, which is 저, me, plus the 의 particle, meaning the possessive particle. So this is usually shortened or often shortened just to 제, but you might also see it like this, particularly in writing. In formal writing, you might see it in its full form, 저희, but it's usually just shortened to 제. But you've probably encountered this many times, this 제, this choi, and it is a usage of this particle, this ui particle. Okay, so for example, 사라의 음식이에요. 사라의 음식이에요. Sara is the person, Sara, or Sarah. Sarah is often written Sara in, yeah, I'm using Sara as a name. 사람 is person, but I'm using this as a name. 사라의 음식이에요 means it's Sarah's food. What about this one? 소피의 톤을 썼어요. What is 내가? So there's different ways of using this particle depending if you're speaking formally or informally. This is the formal way. 제 is the formal. 내가 is me. I'm not going to get into that right now, but there are lots of different particles you can use with subjects. This is 저 in formal language plus ui in the possessive particle. 안녕, 안녕. Okay, so what does this mean? 소피. 소피 is how Sophie is written in Korean. So Korean doesn't have an F sound. So if your name is Sophie, you'll probably write your name like 소피. 소피. This is the book, Conversational Korean Grammar. What about this word, 돈? What does 돈 mean in Korean? 돈. 돈. It's a very important word. Money. Rosendream, thank you. Money. So, 소피의 돈. What does 소피의 돈 mean? If you just ignore this, what is 소피의 돈? Where am I from? I'm from New Zealand originally. 소피의 돈. What does this mean? We're using the Sophie's money. Thank you. Akrokatsi. 소피의 돈 means Sophie's money. This is this apostrophe S thing. Sophie is cow blood. Yeah, okay. 소 is cow and P is blood. So yeah, okay. Anyway, and what about this? What does this 썼어요 mean? It comes from the verb 쓰다. 쓰다 is what this is coming from. What does that mean? Used. Rosendream. Perfect. Yes. Used. So I used Sophie's money. I spent Sophie's money. To use or with 돈, it can mean to spend. It can also mean to wear, to be bitter, to write. Yes, this 쓰다 has a lot of meanings. It has a lot of varied meanings. Here it means to spend or use. So I spent Sophie's money. And this I, it's unfortunate, yes, that if your name is Sophie, it literally means cow blood in Korean. Hi, Kakachu. Like I said, it is contextual, right? Sophie is a very common name in English. So it's a little bit funny, but I don't know if you've seen that person on TikTok who like goes through and pronounce like English names literally in Chinese. She's hilarious. It kind of reminds me of that. Anyway, 소피의 돈을 썼어요. I spent Sophie's money. Okay, and let's look at this one as well. 우리는 편지의 제왕을 봤어요. 우리는 편지의 제왕을 봤어요. 우리는 means we. We with the topic particle, because we are the topic of the sentence. 우리 means we. What is 반지? Does anyone know what 반지 means in Korean? It's an object. 반지, it's not quite pants. Pants is 바지. Yes, Christine, ring. This means ring. 반지의 제왕. Does anyone know what 제왕 means? It's maybe not a super common word. It's a bit of an uncommon word. King. King is a very good guess. Yes, king or lord or ruler. 제왕. So what is 반지의 제왕? What is that in English? 반지의 제왕. It's a title of something. It's a very popular or very well-known franchise, actually. Originally made in English, but this is the Korean translation. Spurty, yes. The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings. This is this 의 particle, working, of the rings, the Lord. The Lord of the Rings. So, 우리는 반지의 제왕을 봤어요. We watched The Lord of the Rings. This is a way that 의 is used in Korean. Okay, so the pronunciation of 의. Now, this is tricky. It's tricky because 의 is pronounced 3 different ways depending on how it's used in the sentence. 3 different ways. So it's a little bit tricky, but here are the rules. The first rule is, if it's at the start of a noun, it's pronounced as it's written, this 의. For example, 의사 is doctor, and 의자 is chair. See, this 의 is at the start of the word, so it's pronounced exactly as it's written, this 의. And this pronunciation of this 의 is a little bit tricky as well. Again, I'm not a native speaker, so my pronunciation is not perfect, obviously, but the idea is it's the combination of this sound plus the e sound. And if you say those next to each other quickly, it becomes this e. And I apologize, I know my pronunciation is not perfect, but that's kind of the idea. I got it. Thank you. So, 의사 is doctor, 의자 is chair, and that's how 의 is used at the start of a word. But if it is used in the middle or the end of the word, but very importantly, it's not being used as the possessive particle, it's pronounced e. So this is just e. If it's in the middle or end and not being used as the possessive form. For example, 거의. 거의 means almost. And here it's written as 의, right? But because it's in the middle or end and it's not the possessive, it's pronounced 거의. 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 거의 is almost. Another one is 문의. 문의 is an inquiry. And again, it's pronounced 문의. Even though it's written as 의, here it's pronounced just e. And a third one, here it's in the middle of the word, and the same rule applies. 여의도. 여의도 is an island in Korea, and it's pronounced 여의도. This book is called Conversational Korean Grammar. Now, the third rule of this pronunciation is that if it is being used as 편의점, that's a good one as well. 편의점 is how it is pronounced, even though it's written as 편의점, right? But you say 편의점. And the third rule to know is that if it's being used as the possessive particle 의, it's pronounced as 에. So the only time it's really pronounced as 의 is if it's used at the start of a word. If it's used as the actual possessive particle itself, like this, it's pronounced as 에. 에. So, for example, 친구의, my friend's thing, is pronounced 친구의. 사라의, Sarah's thing. 소피의, Sophie's thing. 민주주의. So that's also 민주주의 because it's the possessive particle. Native people, yeah. Native peoples, 민주주의. So, so this is a sort of a starting introduction to 의. It's used to show possession, and the trickiest thing about 의 is the pronunciation. And if you do pronounce it wrong, generally it's okay. Generally people will still understand you, but it's good practice just to know. And if you are listening and hearing people speak, this is the rule that they will follow, so that can help you as well. Possessive as in the possessive nouns, yes. So it's commonly like this one, or the something of something else. Okay, where can I buy this book? This book is called Conversational Korean Grammar, and it is available on Amazon. Depending on what country you live in, you can try Amazon. If you have Amazon, you can try the Book Depository. There's a website called the Book Depository, and they ship worldwide. They have it. If you're in the UK, Blackwell's has it. If you're in Sweden, Aldibrys has it. It just depends where you're from. If you prefer a digital version, we also do have PDFs available. That's on our website. There's a link in our bio. This book, Conversational Korean Grammar. And this is what the cover looks like, by the way, as well. Conversational Korean Grammar. And we do have PDFs for sale on our website. You can, if you want, buy the PDF and then print it yourself. Like, that's fine. But just keep in mind that this book is about 300 pages. So if you want to print all of it, it will be pricey. It won't be cheap. But if you live in a country where printing is, where shipping is too expensive or, what have you, you can do that as well. The book is, for prices, it's about $35 for the paperback. Although I have seen it cheaper if you can get a good deal. I think I've seen it as low as like $28 or $29. And then the PDF is $15. So depending on what you want, the PDF is a fair amount cheaper, but I personally quite like having a physical book, but that's just my personal preference. And actually, this book works pretty well as a PDF because it's kind of like just a grammar reference is kind of how it's designed. So it works quite well to have it as a PDF that you can use while you're using other things. And in that case, a PDF works pretty well. And how many years have I been studying Korean? About 5 years myself, but I didn't write this book by myself. I wrote it alongside Chelsea, who's been learning Korean for, I think about 14 years. And then we also checked everything alongside a native speaker as well. Thank you so much for this. I think it's better we will watch your live and videos with books. Yes. It's great having this live stream to look at while you have the book, because I think often, in the book itself, I have kind of a limited space to explain, but in a live stream, I can spend time on it as well. These explanations are great. How often do you do these lives? I do live streams twice a week, usually once during the week and once on the weekend. Do I offer classes? I do not offer classes. We just have these books, and then we do free live streams and we post things on YouTube. If you're looking for Korean classes, you might have good luck finding one locally. There's a lot of Korean centers that offer classes. You can also find tutors online too. You can find a Korean tutor online to help you as well. What does the 797 mean? Good question. So I'll go over that as well. Quickly though, my YouTube channel, there's a link to it in our bio. If you go to our bio on our profile, there's a link to our YouTube channel. And then what does this number mean? So this number was calculated from a file that we collected while we were creating our intermediate series. So our intermediate series is called Writing Conversational Korean, and in that series we asked native speakers to answer questions about themselves using their own language. And there's all sorts of different questions, like, you know, where do you think everyone should go on holiday? And, you know, how did you meet your best friend? Things like that. So they answered these questions in their own words, and then we collected all of their answers, and in total we have about 35,000 words of these answers, and we used a search tool to find out how many times they used different grammar forms in their sentences. So this one actually was used the most out of all the grammar forms that we teach in this book, which we teach, I think, over 100 grammar forms. This one was used the most. So it's a very useful one to know. And, you know, there's a little number included on almost all of these grammar forms. Not on every single one, because some of them are quite hard to differentiate or calculate accurately. But when we can, we do include that number. And you can kind of use it to sort of compare a little bit, things like that. So yeah, that's where this number comes from. And for reference, this is what our intermediate series looks like. I don't know if you've seen it around, but this is what it looks like. And these are the sort of the answers that we have collected, that we calculated all those different usages in it as well. So yeah. All right. But that brings us to the end of this live stream.